press charges, right? The cops won't let me. That's the problem. The cops won't let me.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. Closed sorted. Is not available. The mailbox is full and cannot accept any messages at this time. Goodbye.
It's Claire. Claire this morning. I typed to her, I'm tired of being ghosted. It is harmful and only helps predators get away to do it again. She typed, I'm not ghosting you. I'm literally on hold on a very important call, while also on my laptop filling out important forms after spending all night getting fucked with by my own predator. I have to deal with this for myself and my kids. I typed, yes ma'am, you are right to do so. I'm referring to those in person who are no-call, no-shows, especially repeat offenders. She typed, I'm exhausted and cranky and struggling to hold myself together enough to look normal for my kids. Okay, sorry for the misunderstanding. So I replied, under your circumstances, I understand the hypervigilance. See, under the circumstances, circumstance is important. Let's say if I'm on stage on a comedy routine, and part of my comedy routine is talking about something that somebody else had said. That's a true story, right? So it's okay to tell it because there is a punchline or maybe even a happy ending, and it is funny. You're telling the story. So, of course, you're talking about, let's say, John Doe, right? This dude come up and he was saying, I'm going to kill John Doe. I'm going to kill John Doe. And I was like, hold on a second, man. You can't just go running around saying that you're going to go kill people. What's going on? Circumstance there is that somebody else is saying something and I am directly quoting them. That's not illegal. That's also not a threat against someone's life. Now let's take the circumstance of similar situation. You make a video about all these people who claim that they're going to help you, but all of their solutions are violent. And you directly quote them. I have no problems telling you what it is that people think I should be doing. Should. That's the key word right there. What did Candace Bondurant think I should be doing? Well, what did she say she would do if anybody came and messed with her or her family? She said she'd put a 45 between their eyes. Yep. When people say, oh, Sean, if people did that to me, this is what I'd do, and that's what I'd do. And they got all these solutions that are violent. And then I get to see that it's not just in their head. Some of these people, many of them, are violent in real life. Somebody just typed something at me. Yeah. So my public pretender is too busy being defensive to hear a goddamn word I have to say. Imagine that. He's supposed to be a defense attorney. All he's doing right now is making excuses for himself. Uh-uh. If you want to sell a false narrative, don't sell it at me. Don't sell me a false narrative of a situation that I was there for. Uh-uh. See, John Stevens, right after assaulting me, did he ever apologize? Yes, he did. He assaulted me twice on the morning of the 2nd of March. John Napier assaulted me on the 1st of March around noon at the Shell station. Aaron down. Shayna is the manager. She wouldn't let me see the cameras, but she will release it to the police. The problem is nobody's making the calls to the police. Nobody's taking the abuse seriously. Just me. Claire has basically ghosted me for 2 days as well, but she's not here in person. There are things that she can do over the phone. As far as Bryn, see all these people say, oh, well, I'll show up in court and I'll just get to talk. No, that's not how it works. In order to turn in my predators, you're not understanding that there's a big difference between my court dates where they're trying to pretend I'm some sort of a criminal and the criminal acts that have been committed against me. I need to turn in the criminal acts that have been committed against me, and I need the charges to be pressed against these individuals. But with the bias against the homeless, the bias against men, and of course the slander that I was literally never allowed to defend myself against. I've been denied my right to face my accusers and denied my right to show evidence in court. I've had my disability money taken from me, stolen from me, ripped off repeatedly. But it doesn't matter. Without a friend or family member, I am prone to that kind of abuse. Meanwhile, who are the people most likely to abuse us in that way? Our friends and family. Nobody cares. You just call us mentally ill and it makes it okay. The hell is this? Couldn't preview the file. There was a problem with this video. It took me a while to get my computer even running so that I could try to make a recording in here. So we're doing our best. Alright, dude, we're gonna stop playing word games. Alright, dude, we're gonna stop playing word games. It's not what I wasn't able to tell you, it's what you wouldn't hear. There's a big difference. When you talk over literally everything that I say, even if you wait for me to finish to be dismissive as fuck, it's still dismissive as fuck. So you have to literally ignore 17 months of abuse, including assaults, and including, well, misappropriation of funds and abuse of power by the police here. You have to literally ignore all of that in order to try to help the prosecutor to prosecute me for what? For calling 911 in an emergency. This is an ongoing emergency, and you don't want to see that. Just because you don't want to see it doesn't mean that it isn't true. And that's the problem here is that this is all the way back in October. I was abused and taken advantage of by the police and 911 for trying to turn in the police and 911. They created the safety issue here. That's a problem with having to talk to these asswipes by myself. Minimal disruption, my ass. He wanted to interrupt to argue every fucking time. And then there's I let you tell the complete story. No, he didn't. And then in this one it says I listened to everything you told me. No, he didn't. And then in this one it said I spent most of our office appointment listening to you. No, he didn't. He typed, "Sir, I have listened to you." No, he didn't. He also wants to type, "Most of the videos you sent aren't working." Well, they work for everybody else. This is amazing. These videos here, he typed that most of the videos you sent aren't working. Now, why is it that all of these police officers, public pretenders, all of these type of people, why is it they magically can't see it? Did I try contacting law enforcement? Of course I did. I tried contacting a friend or family member first because of the safety issues with law enforcement. So how long has this guy been my public pretender? Let's see when the first message is from him. February 8th. Over a month and a half. He still hasn't heard my story or taken it seriously, and he's not going to. Because I have no friend or family member. Now with the stuff with Andrew Wolnez, he wants to pretend it's unrelated. The hell it is. He wants to pretend the stuff with Natalie Bollinger is unrelated. The hell it is. He wants to pretend that the previous issues with the police and the issues since are unrelated. The hell they are. So this guy just wants to type over and over that he let me speak, that he listened to the fuck he did. Anything that he did here, he had some cockamamie excuse, including lying to me about the law so that he didn't have to do anything. Because all of these things that I'm bringing to his attention, this is a valid defense, but it requires my public pretender to actually do his fucking job. And he doesn't want to. And that's what this all comes down to with public pretenders. They're all cheapskate pieces of shit. And again, I literally have no friend or family member to call. Claire will always be busy. Bryn will always be busy. Candy will always be busy. Mandy will always be busy. Everybody is always too busy to give a shit. When it comes to being friends, oh, they'll make all the time in the world if you want to party, if you want to drink, if you want to do some drugs. They'll make all the time in the world if you want to take them out to a fancy dinner, huh? If you want to go out to the club, if you want to do things that they find entertaining, oh, everybody loves you, don't they? Everybody want to be your friend. But when you are broke and you're being actually abused, nobody gives two shits. Unless you're a pretty white girl or a black person. Right now, everybody's supposed to care about black people. But you only care about black people because you're told you're supposed to. Shit, I grew up in the system getting my ass beat by black kids. For what? For being white. But you don't want to hear that because there ain't no such thing as racism for black people. Black people can't be racist. Really. What rock did you grow up under? Who told you that rumor? Your manservant or your maidservant? Tiffany and Pun said they'd go in with me too. They're the ones, believe it or not, got most of the violence and stupidity to stop from other people in the homeless community. They did so without threatening anyone. Well, they voiced what they felt I should have done and voiced what they personally would have done in their situation, but ultimately they did follow what I asked them to do, which is talk nicely to people. Don't beat them up, don't threaten them. With Cynthia, she kept on threatening violence against wolnez, saying, you know what, Sean, I get that you don't want anyone to hurt him, but you're my friend. Well, right now I'm having a hard time believing that. She wanted her husband to hurt Andrew Wolnez, and I didn't. Cynthia's husband, well, he decided he was going to assault me. That's not okay. Meanwhile, I got to try to find somebody who's not going to blow me off. That means not asking a woman. They're all taught to blow us off. We're men. We don't matter. If we're actually abused, we'll get pretty words. If a woman pretends that she might be abused, possibly, potentially, we all come together and rescue her dumb ass, don't we? Alright, so this one right here is Beck Neubauer. Request and evidence, right? But their link doesn't work. So then here's one from Lothman. Request and evidence. I already told him their link doesn't work. He doesn't care. He already knows it doesn't work. So, of course, there's multiple videos here. I sent links to the assaults. course, are any of them getting through? Apparently not. Here's another one. This is one from, yeah. The fuck, I sent stuff, it's not going through, there's no replies, there's nothing. Trying to do it over the fucking internet? Oh yeah, that works out well. They say, oh, we can't see anything. Oh, well, you must not have sent it to us because we didn't get it on our end. Really? Because it sure looked to me like I did send stuff. I certainly did. He's trying to tell me it's a drag and drop thing. There's no drag and drop on my fucking phone. You can do that on a laptop. Who the hell's bright idea was it to do that on a phone where you're not able to do that? Believe me, I tried multiple times, multiple ways. Meanwhile, those officers were both using the same phone. These are also both officers who I'm trying to turn in for crimes they committed when I first got here up until now. As far as the mentally ill thing goes, that's not their fucking call. When it comes to doing their job for a disabled adult, yes, they do have to. They do have to take the situation seriously. That's why they reword it. That's why they play these word games and these head games. If they reword it, and these guys have a lot of practice, they're cops. They know how to manipulate the system. They know how to manipulate the courts. Meanwhile, the courts want to be manipulated. This judge doesn't give two fucks about me. Neither did the last one. None of them give a fuck about me. None of them care about my rights. None of them care about my evidence. So what do we do about this? We don't do anything. You make empty promises. I go in alone. I get victimized because I had to go in alone, and you tell me it's all my fault. Lovely. I love that little white hair there. It's sticking out on camera.
Please leave your message for Jennifer.
Hey Jennifer, it's Sean. I was just calling to remind you and David about court with Wolnez tomorrow. Just hoping you don't forget. I was told to remind you. I just haven't seen you, so I figured I'd try by phone. Those are some of the people on my channel. A lot of people wanted to offer up violence, and you can hear them as well as with all of these other people. Cynthia, Napier, Mona Napier, both Jennifer and David. You know, a lot of these people, they're talking about getting violent with these people wasn't helpful. That's what they wanted to offer is help at the time, or to interrupt important details, to tell me violent things, or offer violent solutions, or talk about how they want to get violent. And they're allowed. If I talk about how wrong it is, I'll get arrested for talking about violence. My predators intentionally use it out of context, and that is primarily the police and the DA's office. See, here's the thing: the courts, DA's office, victims' assistance, police department, and the sheriff's department have all been recorded on my channel and in audio recording devices committing crimes against me. And yet they're allowed to continue with the proceedings. Even with a very well-known safety issue and conflict of interest, they just simply proceed how they wish. Amazing. Mhm. I guess I'm gonna try to make an offline recording of some of the videos of Andrew Wolnez assaulting me, but still nobody's helping me to turn it in and press charges. The police refuse to do their jobs for homeless people. Out of the many times that I've seen the police, how many times did they ever actually document it? I've seen Fitzgerald almost, half a dozen times now? More? He claims I only ever talked to him once about the crimes being committed. Really? He'll come and harass me because people pretend that I might do something wrong. He'll come and harass me for being broke, too broke to fix my vehicle. And they'll charge me money for being too broke. They also know that puts my life and my evidence in jeopardy. Never mind the situations that I'm forced to live in or the people I'm forced to live with. Never mind the disabilities that hinder literally everything that you are all requiring me to do. Are you helping me to do the things that you're asking me? I'm asking you to lend me your ears so you can lend me your voice. With most of you, it seems the only thing you want is for your voice to be heard, and I am willing to allow that to a point. When you offer to help me and you don't follow through, why does your word matter? It doesn't anymore. You've already shown that it's worthless. There's situations like with Claire where, she legit has kids. The hell that she's going through and the things that her predator is getting away with doing. Bullshit started here in Tillamook and went all the way to Colorado. My bullshit started in Virginia, followed me to Colorado, followed me to Nebraska, followed me to Wyoming, California, Washington State, Montana, South Dakota, Tennessee. Of course, here in Oregon. I kept hoping if I worked hard enough, if I tried hard enough, if I busted my ass enough, if I was honest enough and straightforward enough, and forthright enough, eventually somebody was going to pay me a decent wage. Eventually, I wouldn't have to try to do this stuff alone, because it is alone. When everybody talks over you, they don't have the time. You are alone. And you get to see with Claire. Why is it taking her so much time? Well, you know what? I knew it was going to take time because of what she's going through. What her ex did, as well as what they did in this state and others. And I knew she was going to have problems making the time. When she says she'll make the time, she doesn't. Now, I'm not sure if you guys noticed this, but there's actual reasons. It does fuck me over completely, doesn't it? Of course it does. But her kids are more important, not just to her, also to me. She did some pretty messed up stuff when she left here. Not because she's evil, but because she was trying to get to her kids. She didn't come down that day with Kara Scudder just to come in and be a dickhead and talk about herself the whole time. That's what ended up happening. But the reality was she showed up because she was trying to emergency status, get out of town, get out of state, get to her kids, and get them the hell out of that environment. It just so happened that that was the only day that Kara Scudder had actually made to sit down and do those things with me. Meanwhile, we were there waiting on a phone call from Adult Protective Services that never came. Then they try to get us alone. All predators try to get us alone, and that's what marks the police in this situation, as well as these other services, as predatory. They try to get me alone so they can make it their word versus mine. That's why I record it. When I record something that just happened and I try to turn it in right away, it's easy to turn in if they let me. But instead, they want to talk in circles and push the housing thing. Housing. Just stop. Stop with the housing bullshit. That's a whole nother rat's nest right there. See, the reason for the housing issues is because of the safety issues created by the police and by the public. Those safety issues, well, you take a look at what the news media, all of them have to say about the situation and about me. It makes sense why people don't like me. That kind of slander follows someone for a lifetime now. Do you try to understand that? If you don't allow someone to defend themselves, you don't allow them to face their accusers, you don't allow them to show evidence. When you falsify information, lie about evidence and interactions, you're not a good person. The cops aren't good people, neither is the judge. None of the volunteers are good people. The only one with the potential to be a good person had Joseph Michael Lopez blow her head off. The rest of them are complete and total trash. And she should have messaged me at some point to let me know that she was indisposed. It's hard to do that when you're busy, especially when it's a situation with your kids, and especially when it's a situation with someone like that. Here's a lady named Grace. I made sure I messaged her. Thank you for her kindness. So there's literally nobody I can really call about this. Bryn tends to, she's gonna, then she doesn't come through, doesn't call, doesn't show. It's that no call, no show thing that's the worst. Let's see if Bryn is able to call. Probably not.
Please leave your message for 9719.
Alright, we'll make sure you guys don't get it. Hey Bryn, it's Sean Schwartz. Claire's got some stuff going on with her kids and with some court stuff as far as the abuse against her kids goes. So she's not able to make time today. I was hoping you might be able to. Obviously, I'm not holding out much faith for it, but I am keeping my fingers crossed. The longer it takes to get someone to take my situation seriously, the less likely I am to be heard. The more likely it is that my predators are going to do this again, and we've got to see time and time again. None of these people helped me to turn in the crimes to the police. None of them. Protection orders, that's completely different from the assaults. The protection order is supposed to be to help make sure that he stays the hell away from me. But you know what? If you help turn in the assault, that's automatic. You don't have to jump through all that paperwork. You were fucking assaulted. The courts are supposed to issue a protection order. But none of you care about that. You want to make me jump through the most complicated route, the most expensive route, the most impossible route. How about you speak up with me, not for me, off in the corner? Or, yeah, you want me to take your word for it? When you say, oh, I turned it into the police, show me some proof. Because if I take that to the courts and say Bryn said, that does me absolutely no good. Cynthia said, well, that does me absolutely no good. Meanwhile, I have to find somebody that cares enough to go in with me to court. And, well, all these people that I'm calling have been aware of the abuse for quite a while now. Thank goodness for Miss Bryn. Thank you for Miss Valerie. They're both willing to speak up. The problem is they have to write it down. How many of these people are just too lazy to write it down? This abuse that I've had to endure, it's not just a little bit. It's not just once or twice. It's repeated and ongoing. And that's something every single one of these people is supposed to pay attention to. But you get to see how horrible police are. When they do something wrong, they have the power to hide it by calling you mentally ill, by telling people you're crazy. That's gaslighting, like a motherfucker. Of course, they don't like it when I call them crazy back, do they? Well, I try to turn in actual physical assaults against me. My predators get to play victim and say he's mentally ill. And with my deprivation of resources, I have to use my disability money, which is not even enough to take care of myself for a month. I have to waste the majority of it keeping and maintaining things that allow me to comply with the demands of the courts. I have to spend my money to comply with your demands in exchange for the help that you promised. Of course, when you first promised it, you didn't have these 10 million things you expected me to do on my own. When you first promised, you didn't tell me that you wanted me to spend literally tens of thousands of dollars for you to do jack shit. This is the reality of my situation. I need help turning in the assaults, the actual crimes committed against me, the financial deprivation, the social deprivation, being forced to go to the colonies of drug addicts by the police, who then go, oh, well, it's your fault for hanging out with drug addicts. Same thing with the mental health places here. Their idea of peer support is to give you some fucking knockoff junkie who's going to tell you about how proud he is of getting off the junk. Well, congratulations, asshole, but this ain't a goddamn AA meeting. You want to be a pussy, you go elsewhere. We're not here to whine about your bullshit. If you're not willing to do a goddamn thing about it except whine, then go elsewhere. This is the fighter's corner, folks. And I'm trying to do my fighting in court because I'm no longer able to physically defend myself or protect myself. I'm not able to financially afford a safer environment. And then my disability money is raped out of me by law enforcement, the police, and people like Chris Stafford and Andrew Wolnez, John Napier. Are any of these people helping me to turn in the abuse to the police? No, they're not. We haven't even been able to address the safety issues with the police. That's something that should have been done first and foremost. See, that's my contingency plan, isn't it? When I'm harmed, I'm supposed to go to a friend or family member and ask them for help. How many of these people said, go ahead and call me even if it's midnight? I call them at 9:30 at night. I'm like, hey, I called at 9:30 at night because somebody was throwing rocks through my window at 9:30 at night. I'm fairly certain that you didn't answer. Thank you for not answering. Cat's here typed, I'm just clicking in, but it isn't Ren helping you. I'm not sure if you noticed, but women don't tend to help anyone. Unless you're immediate family, women don't tend to help anyone. They may make empty promises. They may even intend on keeping those promises when they make them. But at the end of the day, are they going to come through? No, we've taught women how to manipulate men and how to manipulate their way out of keeping their word. Women are not expected to be held accountable. They're not expected to keep their word. Women are held to a lesser accountability standard because women play retarded and we're supposed to feel sorry for retards. But she is not so retarded when she's winning an argument, is she? No, she'll stay directly on point. But when she's losing an argument or she doesn't want to keep her word, all of a sudden she becomes the most irrational tool on the fucking planet. It doesn't come down to women being crazy. It comes down to how they were taught to manipulate all of us men. And we can say, oh, well, because they were taught how to do that since they were little kids, they don't know any better. That's bullshit. You know that leaving somebody hanging high and dry like that is wrong, or you wouldn't bother to make an excuse. Bryn was going to help me. She didn't show up, 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 and didn't show up. Oh, yeah, she also didn't show up. And then one day when she did show up, it was late and we were having to do everything rushed. And then she considered that good. It was unfinished. I was glad that she helped out with the parts that she did, but also she's a witness and a witness statement is necessary. Now, she has done things that are helpful. She absolutely has. When I sent her the evidence of the abuse when it happened, in the hopes of her helping me to turn it in, she didn't help to turn it in, but I was eventually able to convince her to send it to me so that it was more usable to me if I had access to a computer with internet, which obviously with my financial strain and with me being raped out of all of my money, not being able to safely go to the hospital without getting treated like a junkie. And of course, Bryn is always busy, always has something going on. She's also, more importantly, a no call, no shower. That's worse. That's way worse. When you say that you'll be there, when you say that you'll help someone, and then you have the mentality of, oh, well, it's easier just to apologize afterwards, isn't it? It's easier to make an excuse afterwards, isn't it? When it comes to stopping the abuse that I endure every day, I'm put on the back burner because, unlike most of the people that I know, that live in decent situations and have kids to hide behind, I didn't go running around getting drunk and having sex. I didn't go running around doing drugs and having sex. I didn't go running around being irresponsible with my reproductive organs and then hide behind what I created with my reproductive organs and saying, oh, well, I have to be a responsible parent. I'm a responsible parent. No, if you were responsible, you wouldn't be a parent to begin with. Bryn helping me? No, she's not. She may want to, she may intend to, but the no call, no show thing, last time she messaged me was 3 or 4 days ago. Like it's been 5 days since wolnez spent literally 3 times in less than 1 hour harassing me and then trying to get into a fight with other witnesses. Of course, that other witness is also one of my predators, isn't he? John Stevens. Did they actually get into a fight? I don't know. I know that Andrew Wolnez was threatening to kill John Stevens. And it's okay for you guys to do that, isn't it? It's okay for you guys to threaten to kill people. It's just wrong if your victims threaten it back, isn't it? How dare they? You say, oh, well, you have to be the bigger man. You have to be the adult in the situation. Like hell. But guess what? I was the adult in the situation. He wanted to claim that he'd been at home and had been leaving me alone. Literally, there were 3 recordings that day from him just prior to him trying to get into that fight. So, yeah, that's bullshit. But it doesn't matter because the cops don't want to do their jobs, and they have to do their jobs if a witness goes with you. And that's the one thing that they're really, really, really being assholes about. Oh, we're not going to look at your video evidence. No, you have to have witnesses. Oh, well, we're not going to listen to your witnesses. We're going to tell them they can't make a report for somebody else. Fuck this goddamn country and everyone in it. See, all these people, through all of their excuses, did have ample time and ample opportunity. With many of them, you can hear the recordings. They just try to turn everything into an argument. They ask questions that they feel your answer will validate them doing nothing. Or they try to make insinuations of the situation. They don't know if it's true or not. They don't care if it's true or not. They're going to push it like it's crack. It must be true. It must be written by the God Almighty himself in stone. Because they think that's their free ride at it. Well, if I pawn it off on the police, I don't have to do anything as a friend or family member. And the police go, oh, well, if we pawn it off onto their friends and family members, then it's not our fault. I'm a disabled and at-risk adult, and this is exactly what makes me at risk. I am alone. That is not my choice. My choice is to stay away from the people and the directions I keep being sent. Going out to a druggie house out in the middle of nowhere doesn't help me. I tried it. All it did is result in more physical harm. More time wasted. More anxiety. So when you ask the question, isn't Bryn helping me? Well, she may have intended to, but no, she's not. I still can't turn it in alone. So someone needs to turn it in with me and to speak up. They have to speak up. You have to tell them that these things are happening. When you say that you can't, or that the police told you that you can't make a report for somebody else, they're playing head games. Head games that are both immoral and illegal. A lot of people claim that they're going to help me, but for the most part, it's women. And women's idea of helping, well, when they need help, their idea of help is someone showing up right away, usually a guy, or some lady friends who will convince their boyfriends and husbands to do something right away. They only generally do those favors for other women. When a man's being abused, it's, oh, well, you have to take care of it yourself, and oh, I don't know what to do. You get to hear Cynthia with what she wanted to do. That's the same exact thing I had to deal with many others. When I told on them, they got pissed and wanted to have other people harm me for them. Not fucking okay. Let's try calling Bryn. We'll see if she answers.
Please leave your message for 971.
Yeah, go straight to voicemail. This is literally why men commit suicide. You show us that we don't matter. You may use the words, you may offer, but you don't follow through. And so many of you throw shit in my face. Oh, well, I thought this person was going to do that. I thought that person was going to do that. You know, this person was going to help you. That person was going to help you. No, they typed pretty words. They said pretty words. Their follow through was shit. Obviously, these predators are going to continue until they have to spend some time in prison. These people harm me until I have a mental breakdown. And then the police were more than happy to arrest me and drag this shit out for months. They should have dropped this shit back in fucking October. Unfortunately, we get complete and total wastoids like this public pretender here. No, Bryn's not helping me. She may have intended to, but she hasn't followed through. I've got recording after recording after recording of that, her not following through, being a no call, no show, over and over and over again. Same thing with Claire and a lot of other people too. Now, some of their reasons are valid, not all of them. The crunch that Claire's in right now, well, that's a valid reason. She's fighting the same fight I am. She's also very likely to get annoyed with me because I am time consuming and I do have needs. She also has kids that need to come first. After growing up being abused in that kind of way, oh hell yes, I'm totally down with her taking care of her kids. Making sure that her kid's predator and her predator is taken down. Spends his time in prison. There are things you don't do, especially to children. It's the only quiet place I have to work on this stuff. I've got too much anxiety because of people who are going to help me. As always, no call, no show. No call, no show. No call, no show.
Mm.
20 megabytes zip item. Witcher 2. That one's about abuse by Andrew Wolnez. Andrew Witcher. I wonder what this is. Is Mandy evidence? Audio recording. Well, apparently it's not wanting to play. I hope you guys can hear that. It's Mandy Singer. Yeah, she didn't bother to find out what was going on. She didn't bother to listen. She didn't bother to try understanding. She just made bad assumptions and ran with it and didn't give a fuck about the harm that other people were going through. This is the same Mandy who, when her son disappeared, I was harassed and had my life threatened because people wanted to pretend like Mandy Singer's son was some sort of premonition. That's right. I made a video about Mandy Singer's son going missing just a few hours before Natalie Bollinger went missing. And of course, it's time and date stamped. It shows that that was obviously posted before Natalie Bollinger went missing. Now, Mandy Singer didn't bother to find out. She didn't bother to listen. The only time that she ever listened was when she needed help. And I did help her. Well, that's what gaslighting does. She didn't want to try understanding that I'm literally screaming for help on the internet because none of you are listening. None of you give a fuck. All Mandy Singer ended up doing was ripping me off. Intentional or not, it's what happened. With my little sister, she intentionally ripped me off. With Dallas Richmond, he intentionally ripped me off. There's a big difference. But of course, when people rip me off, I have to worry about the safety and integrity of my evidence first and foremost. That evidence shows that I'm being harmed for crimes that were never committed. Well, at least not committed by me. Was Natalie Marie Bollinger ever sexually assaulted? Yes. She was sexually assaulted by Tim Beeson. She was sexually assaulted by Ted Bollinger. She was sexually assaulted by Troy Bollinger and a lot of other people. Was she killed? Absolutely she was. She was shot in the head by Joseph Michael Lopez. I've read the stuff from Joseph Michael Lopez. You know what's kind of odd? He never mentioned me, and she never mentioned me as far as her reasons for wanting him to blow her head off. Nope, she cited her boyfriend and her family. Same thing she did with me. She wanted help stopping the abuse. And I wanted help stopping the abuse. But her abuse came from her own friends, her own family. People like Tim Beeson, people like Ted Bollinger, even people like Maddie Boa and Alicia Bollinger. But you don't want to hear that because it doesn't fit your narrative. Are these people going to come through? They never do. So thank you for making the recording. Now we have to turn it in. Now, mind you, this recording, this is literally years after Natalie was killed. This is years of abuse. Meanwhile, Mandy Singer, she could have come forward at the very beginning and simply stated, yeah, my son went missing. Sean was helping to find my son. Now, she did eventually do that in 2021. Natalie Bollinger was shot in the head in December of 2017. Kinda took a while there. Now, do I hate Mandy for it? No, I hate the situation. Now, is she telling the truth about her situation at the time? I don't know. But it does show I told the truth about the situation at the time, about her son going missing, about the fact that my predators just ran around telling everybody I was crazy. And people kept on assaulting me, and Mandy didn't realize what was actually going on. Yeah, people will literally fucking kill somebody over rumors like that. Just press play some more. Her. wasn't safe, and I'm didn't really find out. They also didn't follow the protocol you did. What about my fear? I'm literally the only dude without a gun. And that whole time, no evidence. I think it was actually May. Let's see, where's the downloads? Nice. All right, let's see if we can make this recording public. I suppose first I should probably type my email address in case you guys want any evidence. Just so you know, Mandy is not the only person who has seen that. Let's see, there's also the Cash app. Sorry, I typed super slow. If you can send something, great. If you can't, fuck it, so goes life. I'll eat grass if I'm hungry enough, I'm sure.